freedom fairly and squarely, together, all together, with divine determination and power. Understand, such an idyllic new paradigm cannot have any way to gain advantage over another or anyone whom wants advantage over another. Right. You can't be in that world of tomorrow, that perfect paradise world Jesus promised, is prophesied in Scripture, and God can't lie, unless, you're willing that everybody else be free, that you're not putting anybody in bondage. I love you. Beautiful creatures. Isn't the unspoken message to the destitute, the desperately poor, the downtrodden in America, that you must be dumb, lazy, genetically or familiarly inferior, a drug addict, an alcoholic, a bum, a dreg of society? Please, just put your tail between your legs, crawl under a bridge, and die. Do the planet a favor. Query. And, or perhaps, dumbass, if you're too stupid and weak to contend with an ever more burdensome paradigm, commit a crime at least. At least you'll get room and board and get to survive. To me, that is the unspoken message that society at large promulgates through brainwashing, through normalizing utter madness, and it's all around us. It's no wonder any of us can keep our heads, up from down. I mean, it's no small miracle. It really is that any of us are sane at this point. It's no small miracle that we can contend and cope with this mess that we're in. If we had to name ourselves instead of accepting the name chosen for us, would you keep the name another, usually parents, chosen for you? If so, that's some coincidence. Would you agree? Yeah, I've often thought about that. That saying by Shakespeare, that a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. It makes a lot of sense, So, I don't like my name at all. I think it's stupid. I don't think my parents thought it through. But, it hasn't bothered me enough to, to change it, which I have the prerogative, as everybody does, to change my name. But, the full name isn't bad, so I can understand their reasoning, logic. Okay, Christopher Richard Credit. Okay, so I got my dad's middle name, That's a good name. Richard, they should have just called me Richard William Credit II or something, because Richard is a very versatile name. Okay, you got Rick, Ricky, Ricardo is what my dad liked to be. No, he liked to be called Rico at the end. Rico, another name for Richard. Richie, I mean, it's the most versatile name there is. It's a great name. Dick, he was called Dickie. He liked to be called Dickie for many years. Dickie. Just toward the end, he changed it to Rico. So, yeah, Rico's good. Maybe I should just switch, But, what would I call myself? Rich? That always sounds good, Rich, right? When it comes to learning, this is a two-way street. A teacher learns from their pupils as a parent learns from their children, and God learns from his children. Yeah, I believe this. I believe it's a two-way street, this learning process. It goes on forever, and we learn. Teachers do learn from pupils, and as pupils learn from teachers. And parents do learn from their children, as children learn from their parents. Who in their right mind would hoard gold, silver, or money of any type if they didn't believe they needed to for their personal safety, security, freedom, and prosperity? Yet for all intents and purposes, putting faith or trust in anything temporal, fleeting, is putting faith in madness, illogic, and a false God. basically satanic entities. So that's how deep this thing runs, man. How it's so important to understand this business of salvation. You got to understand what a role plays in distracting people from the things that are really important to our eternal soul's well-being, you know. So really realize, man, the world is smart. Money has just caused so many problems for humanity. We got to at least admit that's a starting point, man. Just, is it really worth it? And I say, hell no. So we got to wean ourselves off it. And sound economic policies, true capitalism would do that. Fiscally conservative governmental policies would do that. The more things a person will not do for money per ethical, moral, conscience, or personal conviction, the happier they are. Personally, there are many things I wouldn't do for money, including eating a steaming pile of dog crap. Yeah, how much would you, if somebody said, look, not only do you have to eat this fresh steaming pile of dog crap, and I'll give you $100 million, $100 million, would you do it? And they said, no, here's the caveat. You got to savor it. So, you know, I got to see, you're going to use your nose. You're not can't even hold your nose. You got to taste it. Would you do it for $100 million? I wouldn't. A lot of things I wouldn't do for money. Dream as big as you want. Do not allow anything or anyone to impede your imagination. Remember, you are owned by holy, loving, and good God, one whom wishes only the very best for you, for you to realize your dreams, for you to be happy and content. That's only logical and reasonable to assume. However paradoxical it may be, we humans are instinctually compelled to both live as happy a life as possible, that is to stop and smell the roses, and concurrently be very sober-minded, shrewd, wise, aware that evil has been steering this ship of fools toward death and destruction for a long, long time. And for this reason, we hate our lives in this currently established fraudulent world system, this realm. Only God can help us contend and succeed in this profound paradox. Yeah, it's a bear, man. Ever notice how the mainstream media constantly rebukes the general public as being somehow defective, deficient, regarding the few arenas where society has made any real progress? For example, the environment. Look at the catalytic converter and racial harmony. Look at, we hired Barack Obama, a black man. My dad and I both voted for him. Okay, and we thought it was a proud moment in American history. I didn't vote for him the second time because he was a total perfect puppet, liar. Change, we give you change for the worse, yeah. The poverty greatly increased, the wealth imbalance greatly increased, homelessness greatly increased. What the hell did Obama do good for Americans? Nothing, especially for those that needed the help the most. Nothing good. Paul, socialist? What kind of socialist is that, man? For the bankster class? He was the one that helped push through that bailout of '08. According to Max and Stacy, whom I trust implicitly, on the Kaiser report. Martin Luther King Jr., for an example. We practically idolize this man, and rightfully so. My dad and I both totally in love with this man. And gender equality is another one where we're always told we're deficient as Americans. And we've made huge strides. We're probably the most gender equal nation on earth. And yet somehow they say, oh, but the fact is, if you look into it, women own more than half the wealth in America already. We're always told they're underpaid and all this. How many women are choosing jobs to be mechanics, for example? I mean, you could say, well, we're lumping mechanics in there and all these guys that do this hard work. And it's just, look, I'm for fair pay for everybody. This should not be an issue at all. Equality, of course, women are more than equal. Women and children first off the sinking ship. Of course. Men protect women with their lives all the time. Who's lesser here? We know who's the expendable here of the genders. Okay, it's